We took care of Frankenstein, now it's time to do something about Dracula. When it comes to Dracula film series, the choice is a no-brainer, the Hammer series. It's really the only solid string of Dracula sequels that exists. Nothing compares to it. Starting off, we have Horror of Dracula, though in its native England it was just called Dracula. I think it needs the full title. Listen to the music. The music actually says Horror of Dracula. It was the first color Dracula movie, and they don't waste any time showing some blood. Who's bleeding? What's bleeding? Why is it dripping on the coffin? Who cares? It's gratuitous color blood. Audiences hadn't seen anything like it. As far as the storyline is concerned, it's not that special. It's another abridged retelling of Dracula. The 1931 classic with Bela Lugosi strayed far from the Bram Stoker novel, but the basic gist was the same. You would think the Hammer version would take the opportunity to stick closer to the novel, but instead, it strays even further. In the novel, Jonathan Harker is a real estate agent who goes to Transylvania to sell Dracula a property in London. In the movie, he goes to apply for a job as Dracula's librarian. But his true motive is to hunt down and kill the Count, so he's already aware that Dracula is a vampire, whereas in the novel, he doesn't know. Also, Harker's defeated by Dracula's power and becomes a vampire himself. Early in the film, Van Helsing finds his living dead corpse and stakes him in the heart to free his soul. In the novel, Harker never becomes a vampire and lives till the end. Also in the novel, Jonathan is engaged to Mina and Arthur is engaged to Lucy. But in the movie here, they swap the relationships around. Now Jonathan is engaged to Lucy and Arthur is married to Mina. Don't you love being confused for no good reason? In the novel, Dracula has the ability to shapeshift, but in the movie, he doesn't do anything of the sort. He doesn't even turn into a bat like the Lugosi version. He also never travels on boat to England. The one most glaring thing omitted was the character Renfield.
Dracula?
Think about it, a Dracula movie without Renfield? Even the 1922 version, Nosferatu, had Renfield.
I never even heard the name before.
Even though it excludes some of the popular Dracula traditions, it still comes out strong. The sets are amazing, from the castle interior to the foggy cemetery. It's much more elaborate than any Dracula film before. Director Terence Fisher would become one of the all-time great horror directors. Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee became the new hot horror actors, and were paired in several upcoming Hammer classics. They were the new Boris Karloff and Bela Lugosi. Peter Cushing is probably the best Van Helsing ever. He plays the part with conviction and class.
This is not Lucy, the sister you loved. It's only a shell, possessed and corrupted by the evil of Dracula.
I believe every word that comes out his mouth. He wants to get his damn vampire, and nothing's gonna stop him. Christopher Lee plays Dracula with a dual personality. At first, he's a kind and gentle host.
Count Dracula. I am Dracula, and I welcome you to my house.
Then the switch goes off and he's a rabid, blood-drooling beast of the night. Michael Gough is also very good as Arthur Holmwood, who goes through a transition. First, he's a skeptic to the supernatural, then he becomes slowly convinced by Van Helsing. The final confrontation between Van Helsing and Dracula is one of the most classic and iconic fights between good and evil ever put on film. Van Helsing pulls down the window shade and Dracula is destroyed by sunlight. We get the privilege of seeing his body actually decay, something that would usually be considered too gruesome for the 50s. In fact, Hammer had a long fight with the censors and had to remove many of the shots where Dracula's face is decomposing. Somebody in Japan has found an old film print of the missing shots. They're working on getting it restored and clearing the legal bullshit. Hopefully we can see these missing shots one day because it would mean a lot for film history and special effects in general. Even without these extra shots, you don't notice whatever you're missing. It's still an impressive vampire death scene. But Dracula wasn't dead for good. Christopher Lee played Dracula more times on screen than anybody else. In total, 7 movies. And that's just for Hammer. He also played the Count in the Italian Jesus Franco film Bram Stoker's Count Dracula. And he was also in a French comedy called Dracula and Son. But we're going to focus on the Hammer series, so get ready, that's 6 Dracula sequels coming up.